Hello and welcome to Adventures in Venueland, an EVMC podcast. Join us for this all-access pass backstage and behind the scenes with some of the brightest minds that cross the scope of the live event industry. I'm Dave Rettelberger.
And I'm Paul Hooper. We'll introduce you to incredible guests who journey with us as we dive deep into the world of venues, tours, festivals, and everything in between. Grab your laminate and meet us in Venueland.
Today's adventure is unlike any we've had before. We've never had a guest from the state of Arkansas, and this is a unique setup. One of the great things when Paul and I are looking at guests is we're always looking for somebody who's in a different situation than some of the guests we've had before, and this one's kind of different for sure. So let's find out all about it as we head to Little Rock to check in with the marketing specialist for the Little Rock Convention and Visitors Bureau. Please welcome Cai Lane. Cai, welcome.
Hey, everybody. How you doing?
Good. So I know you met some of our folks here at EVMC 2025 in Atlanta, but explain for the folks listening today, why were you at EVMC? Tell us about what your job is and kind of what's going on there in Little Rock.
So I'm glad that you asked. EVMC was amazing in Atlanta this year. I had a great time learning, resharpening, and networking with everyone. My role is unique at the Little Rock Convention and Visitors Bureau. We call it the LRCVB for short, because that's a mouthful to say in a short time. And so we call it the LRCVB, or just the CVB for short. We're a destination marketing organization, or a DMO, but we also manage venues. We have 4 venues that we manage: Robinson Center, State House Convention Center, the First Security Amphitheater, and then our River Market Pavilion, and also other small parking lots, as well as a storefront that hosts restaurants and vendors. And so it's just nonstop things happening all the time. And so we're a unique organization that does both.
And we kind of talked about before we started recording, but it is kind of one of the fascinating things about this industry, and certainly something we were hoping to pull in with EVMC. And you may or may not known this, but we used to be a different name, the Event and Arena Marketing Conference. And One of the things we were finding is, first off, we were having lots of people come from stadiums and theaters and stuff, but also it felt like it wasn't really encompassing everything that people were coming from. And so it is really interesting to hear how people have things set up. And certainly coming from me, and I work in parks and recreation for a city, and we have some facilities, and sometimes, venues are under private management companies, or they're public facilities, or they're tucked under universities. And it's kind of fascinating that in Little Rock, there are all these venues that are under the CVB, because certainly probably everyone that listens to this might be working with their local CVBs, but
for sure,
they don't always have venues, which is really fascinating. So I guess, what's that kind of lay of the land in Little Rock? You obviously have those venues. Are there other venues you all are working with, or do most of them fall under you all? Tell us, I guess, a little bit about each of them, maybe.
Yeah, so Little Rock has all kind of entertainment complexes and venues of all different sizes and serving all different kind of purposes. Like I mentioned earlier, the ones that kind of fall under my belt that I work with primarily is Robinson Center, which is like a theater house, but it also has some meeting spaces for banquets and conferences and large meetings. And then our State House Convention Center. So that's where the big conventions come, like Comic-Con.
Sure.
Comic-Con's coming in like 2 weeks. I'm nerding out about that.
Love it.
Different trade shows, RV shows come to that venue, as well as conferences and private meetings. And then our amphitheater, which is an outdoor venue where we host outdoor concerts and different events that would fit better outdoors.
Sure.
And then there's a smaller venue near our amphitheater that's a pavilion. It's called the River Market Pavilion, where we host outdoor concerts and events as well. In our farmers market, that's been in operation for 51 years.
Wow.
It operates every Saturday morning from from May until last week. Actually, was the last weekend for the season. So it's so many venues that we operate, but in the greater Little Rock and what we refer to as the Central Arkansas region, which is like Little Rock, North Little Rock, Benton, Bryant, Pine Bluff, Conway. These are all cities that surround Little Rock. There are so many venues. So we have a arena just across the river in North Little Rock. It's called the Simmons Bank Arena. So that's your big concerts that tour through, like Justin Timberlake came through earlier this year. You name it, comes there. And then in the mid side of the city, we have the War Memorial Stadium where the Arkansas Razorbacks are playing this Saturday. They play a Little Rock game every year.
Sure.
And so football games, soccer games happen there. Barton Coliseum, which is a more historic venue where we have like rodeos. The Black Rodeo came through back in April. It was a packed out house. I was there. It was really fun. And then a lot of small theater houses like like the Arkansas Rep, where they host different Broadway shows and theater shows. The Weekend Theater, just different venues. The Hall is another great venue where they host concerts like Larry June has come there. Project Pat, Juvenile, the different artists have come there. So it's a lot of stuff just happening around Little Rock, a lot of venues.
Do you feel like being with the CVB, you all are, I'm sure, in addition to managing the facilities, you're also kind of marketing the city as a whole, and you're probably partnering with a lot of these different groups and trying to just bring people into the city overall. But do you also feel like kind of one of those purposes for your all's venues is kind of these community touch points? Like you mentioned the farmers market, which is really cool. It's been around for so long. Are a lot of, in addition to maybe touring events or regional things, are you all finding that you host a lot of like community kind of groups and performances and, you know, dance groups and anything like that, just to kind of be that service to the community?
Absolutely, absolutely. So I mentioned the Arkansas Rep. The Rep hosts Broadway shows and theater shows, and sometimes those shows perform so well, or they project that it would sell out, that they rent out our Robinson Center venue to use instead, so that they have room for their patrons.
Sure.
And then as far as community events, I mean, we're kind of the central heartbeat of when someone wants to do something for the community, they come to the CVB to either partner or to use one of our venues. And then we also produce different events for the community that are just free to the community, like the farmers market for one.
Sure.
Another going thing that we just launched this September. Well, we've been doing it, but it's relaunched this September, is Jazz in the Park.
Awesome.
We do Jazz in the Park every April and September, every Wednesday of those months, free to the public, and we invite local artists to come and perform. And it's just a wonderful environment. We do River Market Live, where it's similar to Jazz in the Park, but it's more of an upbeat environment. So kind of like a party versus a vibe.
Yeah.
And just you name it, like as a venue, we definitely love partnering with other organizations, even other venues, to put on something for the city. And then as a DMO, like that's the mission of the DMO, is to make Little Rock shine. Make Little Rock just shine to outsiders or visitors, if you will, to business travel, leisure travel, but also to the residents of Little Rock and the surrounding area, to let them know, hey, this is available to you. This is for you. And so, it's all kind of stuff that we partner with.
When you talk about Little Rock, I hear a passion in your voice for so many of us listening who've never been to Little Rock. Tell us a little about the city and why you love it.
You know, I've not lived here all my life. I'm from Huntsville, Alabama originally. I've lived here for 10 years, and I've been connected to Little Rock for almost 20 years. My parents are military, and they were stationed here when I was in college.
Okay.
And so I first visited Little Rock when I was a freshman in college. And I was like, hey, this city's kind of cool. I've never, Huntsville's not the capital of Alabama, of course, but we're definitely the best city in Alabama. But And so I've never lived or been close to a capital city, and so being close to that kind of power and government and just movers and shakers was fascinating to me when I was in college. And so when I finished college, I just decided to move close to my parents, and and so I've been here 10 years as a resident, and man, it's just so much culture. Little Rock was literally just voted as the most underrated city in the South. I forget by who, and I can fact check later. But it's been rated the most underrated city in the South, and I can definitely vouch for that. It has so much culture from history, as you guys might know, and the listeners might know. The Little Rock Nine was here. Little Rock Central High School was integrated by nine brave teenagers who integrated that school and suffered all kind of verbal violence and even physical violence just to attend school. And they are housed here in Little Rock Central High School. It's still standing, and it's a federal national park.
That's awesome.
And so that's like one of the prides of our city, even from such great tragedy. We definitely shine that up.
Sure.
We have the Little Rock Zoo. It's always, I used to live near the zoo, and I always would hear different animals howling and crying out. It's always busy. Little Rock has a food scene. If you are a foodie, you need to come to Little Rock because barbecue.
What is it known for? What's the Little Rock special?
So I like I said, I haven't grown up here, but I definitely could give you the big three: is barbecue, Mexican food, and soul food are like the big deals here for me, at least. That's like what I frequent. And so you can get a great barbecue plate from Sims Barbecue or Whole Hog or Wright's Barbecue.
You got Dave drooling over here. He's
You can get some great Mexican food, Latin American food, and like I said, soul food. Food trucks galore. If you're really just to grab something really quick, you can get food from a food truck like pretty much on every corner. Like people like selling barbecue plates. There's a all vegan food truck called Utopia Deli. It's just lots of options to eat here.
Yeah, sounds like it. That's great. Hey, so when we're talking about, Little Rock, and all these venues and you with the CVB convention beer, what's a day like for you? How are you focusing on all these different things and what are you making a priority? What's a day like for Cai?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, as marketing specialist, I work pretty much primarily as like the middleman between promoters and the general public, or consumers, ticket buyers.
Sure.
And so promoters book shows with us, whether it's with the Robinson Center or State House or amphitheater. They book those shows, and then they come to me if they're a new promoter that has never booked with us. Then I like to schedule like a one-on-one with them, whether it's either video or just a phone call, just to kind of get an understanding of what their goals are with the show. What is their target audience? What are their different concerns? What challenges have they had in the past with the show, if it's ever toured before, things like that. And then I share Little Rock. So kind of like how we're talking, I share the culture and the DNA and pulse of Little Rock and how ticket buyers kind of tend to behave when they're purchasing things. And I just really lay it out for them as far as what to expect and how I plan to help them. The other part of it is getting those media assets. So, giving them the dimensions of what we need for social and e-blasts and text blasts and things like that. And so once that is completed and I get all of that, then we make a plan. So we kind of strategize the campaign of the show, whether it's a short campaign or if we have 6 months or even 9 months out to the show. We just strategize together what we want to see happen. We set goals, whether it's a show that doesn't need a whole lot of, we want every show to sell out, but in a realistic economy, what's a realistic goal for this show, especially if it's debuting in this neighborhood?
That can be tricky. Is that a hard conversation to have with people? Because they're probably like, our goal is a sellout. And you're like, yeah, but would you be like, what's your break even? And where's
and that's exactly what I want to see is I don't want anybody to lose any money.
Sure.
But definitely want everybody to make a great profit. And so we come up with some realistic goals. But I mean, Robinson Center is what I mainly deal with because that's the busiest venue
Yeah.
for ticketed events. And Robinson Center can seat 2,200 people. And so if it's let's say it's a show like a Broadway show that has multiple dates, I mean,
Yeah.
they can clean house in a weekend and have 6,000 to 10,000 seats filled over the weekend. And so we just set goals that are, we set stretch goals, max goals, and realistic goals. We have to
Right.
look at what time of year is it, how much the tickets are, things like that. And we just come up with some goals and we meet them.
Yeah.
Another, part of my job is also understanding the pulse of our ticket buyers, the people who make Robinson Center what it is, make State House what it is, First Security what it is. And so lately, I have been really digging into our buyer persona, of understanding the psyche of our buyers. What kind of person are they? What are their habits? So that we can meet that and make sure that we're not offering things to our buyers that they may not like. And if they may not know about it, they may not like it. And so if they don't know about it, we put it in a way that, hey, this informs the person.
Sure.
This is something that you may like because you've liked this before.
Yeah.
And so I spend a lot of time researching and understanding buyers. And then, of course, I manage social media for all of our venues.
Yeah.
And I manage our communications. So like press releases on behalf of promoters, e-blast, text club. I grow our subscriber list using different tactics. And so that's like a day to day of mine.
Yeah.
It's a lot to juggle. And when you're looking at social, are you running social accounts for each of these different venues, and how are you kind of balancing all that?
So Robinson Center has its own social presence. You can follow us on Robinson Center. Just type in Robinson Center on Facebook and Instagram. Now, for the First Security Amphitheater in the State House, they don't have their own social presence, and so what we tend to do as an org is for First Security Amp, the River Market as a district is First Security Amp is a part of that district, and so we share that presence with the River Market social page.
Yeah. Makes sense.
For the State House, it depends on what event it is. So, like Comic-Con that's coming in 2 weeks, it's going to attract not only people in the city, but people outside of the city from all over.
Yeah.
And so we tend to promote events like that on our Little Rock page. So if you type in Little Rock on Facebook, that's the page that State House would be promoted on. And then sometimes we promote State House on the River Market page, depending on the event. But State House tends to attract promoters that do a lot of self-promotion that doesn't need our venue to host their posts.
Yeah. Convention centers are a different beast. They're kind of, it's so, I know I've worked at one and it is so fascinating. It's kind of tricky to manage the social because really your ideal audience is almost like the people that are bringing the events to you. And so you're like promoting that on your social, but then to your point, a lot of these events, some of them are private, so they're never going to really promote. And then some of them are public, but then they usually have these robust systems and they've got their own social accounts and they kind of have their own method and stuff like that. So it's kind of like you can try to elevate them, but they do feel like such a unique thing when compared to, theaters or amphitheaters or arenas or anything like that.
Yes. So you got it perfect. So we just tend to support their posts. Like we may repost things that they post or, get the word out to our local patrons surrounding the convention center. So like restaurants and hotels surrounding that, making sure that they know, hey, this big convention's coming. So make sure you have extra steak. Make sure you have extra beer, things like that.
Yeah. That's great.
It's a lot that you're juggling there, but beyond that, you are kind of the king of the side hustle. Uh, you have a lot of other stuff going on. Tell me a little bit about what you have going on specifically. Well, first of all, let's talk about you do some real estate on the side.
I don't know how you guys found that out, but hey, that's great. Yeah, so I'm a realtor. I've been a realtor for about 2.5 years, and I got into real estate as a venture post college.
Sure.
My bachelor's degree is in business, and when I was in school, I kind of took up different disciplines. So I didn't have a minor; I had disciplines
Sure.
or concentrations, if you will. And so one of those concentrations was economics. One of them was marketing, and then the other was leadership. And so in my economics concentration, we spent a lot of time focusing on real estate, how real estate changes different economic stratospheres. And so I just kind of became fascinated with real estate and how it can shape a person, but also shape a community.
Yeah.
And so I get to kind of be in a unique space working for the CVB because our goal is to attract visitors to Little Rock and make sure that they have a great time. But then me as a realtor, my goal is to attract buyers and sellers to Little Rock, investors to Little Rock, to make sure that they have a good time here with their
Sure.
investment. And so I've always just kind of been a matchmaker, if you will, and I enjoy real estate. It's definitely a market that's very kind of. I'm not going to lie, you guys. It's a tough market
Yeah.
all over the country. The interest rates are very difficult to overcome. People's personal economics are challenging their day to day,
Sure.
and so it's definitely something that I enjoy, but it's not an easy goal.
Yeah.
And it's something I do in my spare time. On the
Yeah.
weekends, in the evenings, things like that.
It's got to be kind of fun to be able to tell people about everything because you kind of got your finger to the pulse of the city. So if it is someone who's like, I'm moving to Little Rock and they're kind of already, looking at a place or you're working with them, you can be like, well, here's what you're getting with the city. Like there's all these
Yes,
amazing things. You got to come check out
yes.
our theater. You got to come check out this, farmers market. Like you kind of have a lot of this knowledge, which you're able to, you almost can market your day job to your little like, weekend evening kind of thing.
That
Cause
is absolutely the
yeah, so
case.
it does seem to, both of them seem to kind of marry well. And to your point, kind of your this kind of connector that's connecting everything.
Yes.
Hey, and another side hustle that I know is been a focus of yours for years is what you're doing with Gray Slate Digital. So talk to us about this.
So Grace Lake Digital really was birthed in desperation and great need.
As
Um,
most great ideas are.
yes,
Right.
yes. I was in a predicament where I was not able to financially afford to continue college. And I came to my wife and I looked at her and I was like, I don't know what to do. I want to finish school. I don't know what to do. We can't afford to pay for it out of pocket. She looked at me. She was like, "Baby, I love you. We can figure this out." And so I went into my room and kind of just like looked at my hands and looked everywhere. Like, what do I do? And I come from a faith based background. I used to work for a church, and so I read my Bible, and I pulled up this scripture that talked about this widow that didn't have any money. Her husband passed away, and they were going to take her children away to put them into labor. And a prophet came to her home and told her to use what she had, and she just had a jar of oil. And he took that jar of oil and did the miraculous with it. He told her to pour it in different vessels, and she sold the oil and became very wealthy off of that hustle. And so I read that scripture, and it kind of gave me this idea of like using what I have to get what I need. And so what I did for the church that I worked at is I worked with youth and young adults primarily, and part of that was planning events, marketing events,
Sure.
and marketing initiatives. And so while I was working for that church, I learned how to design graphics, and I was able to update websites, and I was able to host our social media to reach kids where they were. This was 10 years ago. So they were on Snapchat and Facebook and
Oh
Instagram.
yeah.
They're not on those apps anymore.
Right.
um, and so I learned these different skills in the faith-based system. And so what I did was I took the skills I had and used it to get what I needed. And that's how Bracelet became a thing. And so I started to market myself as a graphic designer and marketing specialist as myself,
Sure.
and just networking around town. Hey, I have no shame in doing this. My target audience are people who are busy, who own a business, who may or may not have social media skills, marketing skills. And so I'm not going to generalize an age group there, but y'all do the math and what age group that is. And so I would market to older people.
Sure.
Hey, this is what I can do for you. And we helped several businesses. My wife stepped in with me. My sister stepped in with me to help
That's awesome.
put things together. And we helped some businesses, and to the point where it just became something I used to help me finance the rest of my college education out of pocket.
Yeah, and I'm sure sharpen your skills and sharpen your mind with that too. You're almost getting
Yes.
two educations simultaneously. You've got
Yes.
your college and you've got your kind of out in the field. And then, when you have a job that's, like this one with the CVB, it's like you've got this experience, but you also have the kind of collegiate knowledge as well. And what better way to do it? I mean, you're kind
Yeah.
of you're funding the one with the other, but you're also kind of really leveraging that to gain a lot of skills and get a lot of experience and make a lot of connections.
And honestly, if I can be very candid, my experience with Grace Lake Digital led me to applying for this
Sure.
cohort that the city of Little Rock put on. So the city of Little Rock is a separate entity than the CVB,
Yeah.
but we're kind of their subsidiary in some weird way that I can't explain.
Yeah. Kind of similar with Lexington. Yeah, it's a funky thing. It's like it's like a dotted line, not a direct line a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But through that cohort that I did with the city, it's called Build Academy. I was able to network with people in the city, movers and shakers, and I learned about the CVB, and I learned about different job opportunities with the city and the CVB. And I just applied for a job with the CVB using the skills I learned as a marketing person in the city, and I got the job.
Yeah,
And
that's
so
awesome.
what Grace Lake Digital did for me is it helped me finish college, and it helped me get a career.
You're saying Grace Lane Digital as if it's like something external. It's what you did for you.
It's what I
Yeah.
did for me. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's what I did. I was able to use my skills to finish college and to find a very good job that I enjoy.
That's so great. I love that.
It's just it's so neat, and you talk about a church a little bit there, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention you've got a good history of it's an important part of your life. You were a pastor for many years.
Yeah, it was. So that's you guys have done your homework on me. I love that.
We do some digging. We do some digging.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. You need to know who you're talking to. So that's a very long story that we may not have all the time for, so I'll do my best to condense.
Give us the cliff
as best I can. Yeah, I'll give you the cliff notes best I can. I was raised in church. Like I probably was born in church, if you will. And my family is made up of different leaders in the church, deacons, pastors, some choir singers, different things in the church. And so
you a choir singer?
I sing.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, that's how I got my start in ministry, if you will. I sang when I was 12 years old. I sang, and I never stopped singing. And so
that's awesome.
I kind of really became heavily involved in church when I was in high school. And I just fell in love with how church moved. I fell in love with different youth activities, youth camps and youth nights. And I had something miraculous happen to me where I felt this passion to pursue ministry as a career. And just to kind of shorten it down, I became a minister at 16 years old.
Wow. Yeah.
And so from 16 until I was about 31 years old, I'm 35 now, I was really just moving and grooving through the ministry.
Yeah.
It started off with just preaching little simple sermons here or there when the pastor allowed me to. Then when I went off to college, I was on a board. It's called the Christian Student Association, where we kind of curated different events for the campus, like prayer nights and revivals and concerts and things like that. And so I was able to
This is
be a part
you
of
doing events again. I
this.
feel
Is
like
me doing events.
it's all tied together.
Yeah,
It's all yeah.
I've been doing events a long time. So and so then after college, we moved to Little Rock, like I shared earlier, and I was working at Verizon Wireless, and I was doing music on the side. That's something I do as well. And I had met this guy named Chuck Eastman. He lives in California now, but he was living here in Little Rock. And he was the youth pastor at the church that I was working at. And he was leaving. And he knew I had a background in the ministry. And he was like, man, I want you to be the next youth pastor. I want to help you take my place. And I didn't know like he had been charged to find his replacement. So he was recruiting too.
He was scouting, yeah.
Yeah, he was scouting. And so long story short, I was a full-time youth minister at 24 years old, fresh out of college. And the rest is history. I went through different waves, different seasons of life with ministry.
Yeah.
I still am in love with my faith and my journey with God, but the ministry, for lack of words, and we can maybe do a long podcast one day to talk about all the things, but I just fell out of love with the ministry.
Sure.
And that's okay. And, we live in a post-traditional environment now where that's okay, where that's very normal, where pastors and ministers find something else to do.
Yeah, for sure.
That's exactly what I did. I spent a lot of time in prayer and meditation trying to figure out who I am, especially during the pandemic. The pandemic helped me understand who I am in a great way. It was a very weird time in our lives, but it was definitely a great time to really unpack who you are.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And so I guess you could say I've been rebirthed into where I am now. And so I'm still living passionately, still living purposefully, but just doing it in a different way.
That's great.
And you mentioned also your wife earlier. So tell us a little about Cai away from work, when you're not busy with doing all these side projects and all the stuff you're doing for Little Rock. Tell us about the Cai at home.
Yeah, so Dominique is my wife. She's also one reason why we're in Little Rock. Part of our reason for moving here is for her to go to law school here. Cool. And so after she finished undergrad, she went off here to Bowen School of Law, which is connected to University of Arkansas Little Rock. And she graduated in 2019. She's been practicing law since then. And she works for the county as an associate attorney there. She and I have been married for 11 years, almost 12 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We've been a couple since 12th grade. So that's going on 16 years.
Yeah.
So we went to prom together. She's not only my lover, but she's my best friend. Like we can talk about anything. We have inside jokes that almost go 20 years.
That's great.
And so that's a little bit about my love life. And then, just some hobbies I have. Like I said, I'm big into music. That's really how I got into the entertainment and venue space. I am recording some music right now that I don't want to talk too much about because I want to keep it a surprise.
All
but
right.
You guys connect with me and maybe we can talk about the music soul. And then I love sports. Football season starts tonight. I'm a big Philly Eagles fan.
Okay.
Go Birds. And so I love sports. I love music. And then I love weightlifting. Like I used to power lift, but I don't do a whole lot anymore.
Yeah.
But I do the powerlifting stuff just to keep in shape and, I'm just a kind of a general all around guy, just doing my thing.
Yeah.
Definitely, definitely a lot of different things going on. Well, hey,
Yeah,
it went fast, but great hearing about your adventures and what you've got going on there in Little Rock. Before I let you go, I want to hit you with our fast five. It's five quick questions, just looking for your short, immediate response. First up, do you remember your very first concert?
absolutely. My very first concert was J. Cole, the KOD concert.
Yeah, I remember that tour.
Yeah.
You have a favorite concert?
Oh, J. Cole's gonna be mad, but it's Kendrick Lamar's the Big Steppers, Mr. Morale and Big Steppers concert, the tour that went through in 2022.
That was a great tour, also.
Yes.
You mentioned you're a singer. What's your go-to karaoke song?
Oh, that's definitely Before I Let You Go by Maze and Frankie Beverly.
Okay.
All right. I've been to Dreamland Barbecue in Huntsville. So you got to tell me who's got better barbecue, Alabama or Arkansas?
Ooh, you're about to start a state line war.
Why did you do that? Okay. All right. Okay.
You could give us your favorite barbecue in each state. How about that? If you don't want to draw a line.
All right. Because you're gonna get me kicked out. Okay. All right. So here in Arkansas, my favorite barbecue is all the way out in Carlisle. It's
Okay.
called Nick's Barbecue. Carlisle is about 50 minutes from Little Rock. It's in the middle of nowhere, but it's the best barbecue honestly, it's the best barbecue. I have to put my hands up. Now in Huntsville, none of the barbecue restaurants touch people who barbecue. You just have to
Yeah, okay.
find
All right.
you just have to find somebody that's barbecuing in Huntsville and get a plate from them. Because
Yeah.
none of the restaurants are touching those people. But if I could give you one restaurant, it's probably Gibson's in Huntsville.
Dave and I need to go do a barbecue tour. It sounds
Yes,
like
100% I'm in.
Oh yeah, for sure.
adventures in barbecue land, perhaps.
Yeah.
Last question for you. What's your theme song? So not one you have to sing for karaoke, but there's a TV show where reality cameras follow you around, filming your life. What's the song that plays over the opening credits to the Cai Lane show?
Man, so that's definitely. I'm a big Kendrick Lamar fan, so I would definitely say "Savior" by
Yeah.
Kendrick Lamar. That's like I go to that song probably on a daily basis. As a second backup, it's probably "Bombs Over Baghdad" by Outkast.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Love that. Love Outcasts.
yeah.
Well, hey, throw out any plugs here if anybody wants to reach you or follow along with what you're doing there. I know you mentioned an Insta earlier, but yeah. So tell us, throw out all your plugs.
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook, Cai Lane, Cailane. Also on LinkedIn, the same name. On Instagram and TikTok, I go by Juggernaut256. That's JUGGERNAUT256. That's my nickname, Juggernaut.
Like
X-Men.
like the Marvel. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my nickname. And so those are my plugs. I'm pretty much a normal guy on all social. I'm a goofy guy, so come get a laugh.
Make sure to go. Everyone follow all the accounts too, right? The CVB and various accounts you mentioned, and
Yeah, so on Facebook, you can follow Little Rock. Just type in Little Rock, Arkansas on Facebook, and you'll be able to find our main hub page.
Sure.
For the venues that I run social on is Robinson Center. Type that on Facebook. And then on Instagram, if you type in Little Rock CVB, Robinson Center LR, or River Market LR, those are a few of our pages.
Awesome.
And then you can find us on LinkedIn, Little Rock Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Guy, I can't tell you how much I enjoyed talking to you today and learning about everything you have going on. Sounds like you're a busy man, so we should probably let you roll. but thanks again for joining us today.
Hey, Dave, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Paul, as well. And it's been a pleasure.
And a big thanks to everybody for listening to this episode of Adventures in Venueland. Remember, you can subscribe and find more episodes wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. We do love your 5-star reviews because it helps others find us. Until the next adventure, I'm Dave Rettelberger.
And I'm Paul Hooper. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Let's go on that barbecue tour.
Yeah, Adventures in Barbecue Land. Adventures in Venueland is a side project of the Event and Venue Marketing Conference, a marketing conference that brings together diversified event and venue professionals to cultivate education, collaboration, and innovation for the growing sports and live entertainment industry. Find out more at eventvenuemarketing.com.
Audio editing and mixing by Camille Faulkner.
Design and digital advertising by Megan Ebeck.
Copywriting and publicity by Samantha Marker.
Guest booking and brand strategies by Paul Huber.
Guest research by Dave Rettelberger.
Marketing strategies by Paul Hooper, Megan Ebeck, and Samantha Marker. Thanks for joining us. Until the next adventure.